Okay, this is going to be a small little story time, and it's regarding spirit, ancestors, gods, deities, and everything else. And some of the things that I was reintroduced to, because prior to this life, I had already had this information. But I was updated through, like I said, gods, spirits, ancestors, deities, elementals, all of the things that's supernatural updated me to the communication and the way that they communicate and how I have already been communicating and understanding them really simply. It wasn't even hard. And the first things that I was reintroduced to is the actual voice. And the voice is mine. And the voice is more so as a thought in my mind. But the thought was not just a thought, it was as though their frequency was riding on the same vibration as me. But I was perceiving it as though it was a thought. Now, a warning. When you open that portion of your mental space, I don't care if it is a want and desire. When you open that portion of your mental space, you're opening up areas of your brain, your mental space, and your physical body to allow them to communicate at a louder volume. They had already been communicating with me, but I allowed them to communicate at a louder volume through the vibrations that was around me. And once I opened that up, it was as though they wouldn't stop talking. I couldn't go back. I had to literally ground myself to attempt to tone it down. But they had intertwined with my mental faculties. And if I'm being honest, all was not good. All was not good. But some of the things that I learned along the way was good. I liked some of the things that I learned about myself, especially. But when it came to them speaking and me trying to gather my own thoughts versus theirs, that's where the issue became. I did not like that. I didn't like it when I needed to like hone in on my own thoughts and then I was getting bombarded. Let's say it's a lot of them. They literally wait for me to pay attention. And I'm sure that they do the same things to you. And like I said, it's not always good. It's good and bad. It is. And sometimes, depending on who you engage with, you'll get more bad than you get good. So it, like I said, as a warning, be careful with that stuff. Know beforehand. Like this literal video is just giving you more information of what to watch out for. When you open yourself up to spirit, there is not just one thing on this plane, it's multiple things. And whether you're a traveler or not, you still need to protect yourself. And one of the things that you may have bypassed is the easiness of communication. When you seek them, they're already waiting for you. They have literally been lurking. And like I said, good or bad, they have been lurking and waiting for you to pay attention. Some have good advice, some have awful advice. Some advice you can use, and some advice you do not need. Some of them even put their worries and anxieties on you just because you do not see them. Don't think or believe for 1 second that all they're doing is just lurking in the shadows, just doing nothing. No, they're attempting to live a life as well. I don't care if it's a god, a deity, a ghost, an intergalactic being, they are attempting to live a life as well. So, what comes with life? what comes with life is stress, pressure, different things that someone do not want to deal with. And what do they want to do? Place it on someone else. So a God is no different. If they can place it on a mortal, they will. A spirit is no different. If they can place it on someone, they will. A deity is no different. If they can place it somewhere else, they will. So always shield up. Do not allow yourself to be open. And one of the ways is when you're so excited, you haven't communicated yet. It's just your first time. I guess I'll give a little story time. I had been using my pendulum. When I first got that pendulum, I thought it was crap. I couldn't do it. Well, it's not something that you do, it's something that you remember that you have done. And it was literally something that I had done before. I was reintroducing myself to it, and I was able to start using anything as a pendulum. It didn't matter what it was. And that showed me it was nothing more than an introduction. Well, that introduction got me in to the spacing of conversation. And that conversation wasn't just on one end, it was on, let's say, multiple ends. And I started using the pendulum, asking the questions. And that's when it went from me just writing the answers down to me literally them showing me how they communicate with my mental space. With me thinking that all that chatter in my mind was my own, no, some of it, a lot of it was them. And different species, different beings was communicating with me. And at first it was fun. It was exciting until I needed to ground and I needed just some moments to myself. I no longer had any privacy. So that's something else I want to just share with someone. Once you open that door, your privacy is gone. I could not go back to thinking that they were not around me enough to be talking. Now I can, when I learn to like literally start thinking about myself again, center myself, I learned to actually push them at a boundary, not so close to me, whereas I could not figure out my own thoughts. And once I learned to do that, I found my center. And it could be as simple as me looking around my room because I used to literally travel throughout my mind. I was remote traveling, and the things that I was seeing in my so called back of my mind was actually their locations. But it appeared as something foggy and blurred as a thought. But I was traveling. I was traveling with them, looking, observing, speaking, and talking, and sometimes just listening to them. And sometimes I would travel so far that I got lost. Even though I can see the peripheral of the room around me, it was still too far. And I was going further other than just pulling back every now and again, coming in my present, looking around the room, knowing that I'm safe. I have my privacy. They're not hoarded around me. Just like any family, just like any friends, just like any enemies, just like any opposition, you don't always want to be crowded around them. Like I said, it's fun and it's interesting at first. At first, it's fun, but after a while, you want your privacy. You need your privacy even from them. So again, as a warning, know what you're getting into. Once you unlock that door, it is open and they have access. So find a way to set your boundaries. See, and then I'll get back to my little story time. So once I opened my mental space and conversation started to happen, that's when not just good, but bad started to come in. And it was harder for me to navigate to push them off. But that's when I used and discovered more things about me that I'm not an amateur. I am a professional. I am an alchemist, a witch, a warlock, a god, the universal body, a priestess, a pharaoh, a king, a queen, a male, a female, a dragon, a lion, and much more. I had to discover myself and set my boundaries. Otherwise, they would have taken advantage. And that's what you should always know. You have a stake too. You have a say in who communicates with you. So go into it knowing that, not that something else have an upper hand on you because you present yourself as a human. That is just your disguise. That is not truly who you are. That is a suit that you have chosen to walk on this plane with. That is it. It has nothing to do with who you truly are. And I had to discover that. And boundaries was definitely an issue. I needed to set them. I needed my privacy. It was essential for me. And I didn't know that until I started to communicate. And so I guess I'll just sum up this video by saying, just be careful. Be careful when you open that communication. Always learn to set your boundaries. There's good and bad in this plane, and sometimes it's more bad than good because the good may be further off from you, and you need to learn how to wheel that in.